Vlad joins us now. Vlad, we heard there in your package, Sheriff Lombardi told you that he's looking into the mental health of the gunman, specifically the period of 2016. Why is that so significant?
It's really significant, Rena, because the ATF discovered that the shooter bought those 33 weapons during that period. And as you heard me ask Sheriff Lombardo, we wanted to know what was it that compelled him to purchase those weapons. And why it's significant is because the FBI has a number of profiles when they look at mass shootings. For example, is it revenge? Is it work-related? Is it because the shooter has extremist views or belongs to an extremist group? Is it religious, right? And so far, this gunman does not fit any of those profiles. Sheriff Lombardo even told us in the press briefing yesterday that a lot of people are flummoxed. They don't really understand, at least now, why or what the motivation would have been for him to carry out this mass shooting. And that is why it's going to be so critical to continue talking to his wife and to perhaps other members of his family, like his brothers and others who may have come into contact with him, because right now they don't have a clear picture of what compelled them to do this, except that they do know, and they have keyed in on that period in November of 2016 when he started amassing all of those 33 weapons, Rena.
And the sheriff, he said that the shooter must have had help. Do we know anything more about potential accomplices?
So it was really interesting. During the press conference, it was almost as if Sheriff Lombardo was thinking out loud as he spoke to members of the press, because he started to say, look, for him to be able to do all that he did, amass all of these weapons, purchase all the explosive materials that police ultimately found in his vehicle, to get all those weapons up in that hotel room, and to do this over an extended period of time. We're talking, in some cases, years that he was purchasing these weapons, including that period in October of 2016 when he all of a sudden went on a growth buy and he bought 33 weapons. It's interesting for them, and they just don't see how he's capable or how this gunman would have been capable of doing it on his own. But for now, it's still speculation. They don't have anybody tied to it, but that's why they're digging deep.
And Vlad, do we know anything more about a motive?
Big question. Right now, investigators do not have a motive, or if they do, they're not sharing it with reporters. And clearly, this is something that is, it's kind of interesting. Generally, when these things happen within a couple of days, Rena, as you know, you reported from the field about these situations, investigators start to say, well, look, we just found on his social media or on his Twitter account or on his Facebook what he was posting, things that he was suggesting. I spoke to one retired FBI agent who told me in 81% of these mass shootings, the shooter has actually told someone, an individual, either a person or social media, or posted something or written a letter that suggests that he is thinking about doing this heinous act. And in this case, they do not have anything that points to that. So that's why the motivation at this point, Rena, is still unclear.
That's so bizarre. He just doesn't fit any sort of profile or any previous case that we've seen in this type of situation. But Vlad, we know yesterday the big story, everyone was eager to see what Paddock's girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, had to say. FBI spoke with her. Do we know anything about that interview?
So the interview was conducted with law enforcement agents, and she said that she always knew Paddock to be thoughtful, caring, a quiet man. She said that nothing at all gave her any indication that he intended to do this or that he was even thinking about it. There have been reports that he had transferred a large sum of money to her account, about $100,000. He also asked her to go to the Philippines in the weeks before he carried out this heinous act, and she thought the money, the sudden trip, she thought he was going to break up with her. So right now, at least according to her lawyer, she had no idea he was going to do this. And right now, police are not saying that she is under arrest or even under suspicion, although they are still talking to her.
All right, fascinating. We'll keep following it. Vlad, thank you so much. Coming to us from Las Vegas.